Hello, everybody. This is Paul Herman, the Prince of Motivation and host of Zaka Presents My Journey. We're creating this vulnerable and positive platform where you can get inspired and motivated from different leaders from our community. Today, our guest is Petula Skeete, who is a multi-Emmy Award winning hairstylist for Robin Roberts, and also a motivational speaker and business entrepreneur. Petula, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me, Paul.
You know, it's the key thing right here. I wanted to also say, Petula, it's an honor to have an Emmy winner with us today, right? You're the first, right? I think that we're going to talk a little bit more about that. But before we actually get into that, if you could tell us a little bit about your background, where you're from, where you're born, and, you know, obviously your upbringing.
Well, I'm a small island girl from Nevis. It's in the West Indies, a small island, 36 square miles. Nevis is very beautiful, full of beauty, and it is the most wonderful place that anybody can be from, Paul, really.
Well, I'm Caribbean background myself as well, too. My mother's from Jamaica and the father's from St. Lucia.
Oh, nice. So you know what I'm talking about.
I mean, the Caribbean is definitely a nice place to be. Now, how'd you find your way from the Caribbean and migrate all the way to the U.S.? How did that come about?
Well, growing up in Nevis, like I said, it's a small island, and I relocated from Nevis when I was about 12 years old. But growing up in Nevis, I always had a dream, like I wanted to come to the mainland, the US, because when I was 6 years old, that's when I discovered who I am through society. They told me that, they looked at me and told me that, oh, you're so tall, you're so black, your feet are so big. Like my friends told me that. And then I was like, oh my gosh, like I just want to become beautiful. I just want to know what, I didn't want to be the person that they were describing myself to be. So I was always thinking, how can I become beautiful? And I was thinking about, like, if I only make it to the US, I know that I will be able to purchase beauty. And that is what I did.
Now, when you came over here, were you by yourself? Did you come with your family members? How did that go?
No, I came with my family members. My mom was here already. My mom was here, and I was always dreaming, like, I wish I can come. But at the time, my mom, she was an immigrant. She was an illegal immigrant, scrubbing floors, trying to get her green card so she can help my brother and I. So that was the holdup. My mom came first, and then my brother and I came after.
Okay. Well, obviously that's a very big thing right there. You know, it just goes to show at a young age, you got to see how, like, your mother was, she was trying to live that dream as well, too. She had it was like, look, there's something in America that we got to be here. I'm going to find a way to get my kids here, and through like persevering and just kind of constantly pushing through, that was able to happen. Now, where'd you guys end up in? So you travel from Neves, and did you end up in the Bronx and in Brooklyn, New York? Where exactly?
We ended up in the boogie down Bronx.
Let's get it.
We ended up in the boogie down Bronx. Like, Bronx
knew
is
it.
home. Bronx is home for me right now.
Okay. Well, I'm gonna let you know this too. I'm from the Bronx myself.
Whoa.
165 in Grand Concourse. What about yourself? Where were you coming up from?
Southern Boulevard.
Oh, you from the bully.
From the boogie down.
Okay. And when you came here, did you notice a difference within the culture? I know that, could you talk about a little bit of the culture growing up in the Caribbean to where you were in the Bronx?
When I got here, I thought it was heaven and earth, really, because I saw big buildings, trains, like everything looked different to me. And I was like, wow, this is amazing. So I wanted a part of this culture. It was definitely a culture shock, because imagine, I'm coming from a place which is smaller than the Bronx. Nevis is only 36 square miles. I think the Bronx is bigger than Nevis.
Oh, without a doubt.
Now, I'm like, whoa, like my dreams are possible now. And all I wanted to do is purchase some beauty, like I told you before. That's all I wanted to do, because society was telling me all this, like, you're so black, you're so tall, you have big feet. And I was like, right, I'm here, I can do this. So that's all I had in my mind. That was like me at 12 years old. I wasn't thinking about no college or anything. I just wanted to be validated and accepted by someone.
Okay. Now, when you talk about your friends, I mean, this is something that, I think this is one of the first times we're actually hitting on this right here. Like, are they're friends and they're friends, right? They're friends that obviously bring you up and inspire you. And then there's obviously friends that, discourage you and talk down on you, So when that time came about, especially as a young child growing up, right? How did you move past that? Like, how did you find a way to kind of, still stay on your feet? Because stuff like that could emotionally, scar somebody at a very young age, especially if you don't have any outlets and someone to talk to about those things. And how did it also inspire you to actually become the woman that you are today?
Well, after hearing my friends, but the reason why I say they're my friends, they are because when you're young and you're growing up, you just repeat things that you hear probably from an adult, or you see something on television or whatever. So we always in that struggle. We always fighting for validation. Now I look back, we always fighting for validation, right? And I fought my way. They tell me something, I'll tell them back. But still it hurt to the core. I would go home to my mom and I would say, "Mommy, why do I have to look like this?" And she's like, "You're a beautiful girl." And I'm like, "No, but everyone look different. I'm the tallest one, I'm the darkest one, I have the biggest feet. They always put me to the back of the line." And but she was like, she was like, "Petula, trust me, when you grow up, they're gonna want you and you're not gonna want that." I said, "I want them now. I want them to want me now." So, like I started to think, like, why me? And after we got this opportunity, my mom got me out of Nevis and I came to America, and I realized that, it's not that now I'm in a bigger place, and it's like a melting pot. Everyone look different, and I can blend in, but also
Mhm.
I started searching for myself deep inside to understand who I am. And
Mhm.
that's where, I kind of like forgave them because we all didn't know any
True,
different,
true.
like it still made a scar on me.
Mm. Now, when you were going through this process, how did you build confidence, especially as a black woman, coming up? Like, how did you go from being that young girl who was being picked on and humiliated to being a strong, independent woman?
Building confidence is not easy. It really wasn't. And I realized that, okay, after I tried a lot of things, I started reading books, I started listening to like motivational speakers. I started thinking, like, you know what? I thought confidence is something that you could have purchased. Like I said, I thought confidence was like the bleaching cream in a box. I thought confidence was extension. So what I decided, I was like, I'm going to go to beauty school. So I went to
Mhm.
beauty school thinking that, okay, I can purchase beauty. That I thought that was confidence as well. But after I finished beauty school and realized, I started my career and I became a cosmetologist, and I validated myself and understand that beauty is not hair, skin, and nails. Beauty is from the inside. Beauty is you understanding who you are. That's when I started building confidence, and I realized, I have to go back and help my people to give them
Mhm.
some knowledge about what true beauty is, and I hope that they don't hurt another child, because I was robbed of my childhood.
Mhm. Mhm. And especially when you're trying to be a part of a group, right? You're in a playground. I mean, you're talking about 6 and 12-year-old kids, just playing around. And when someone, talks down on you or makes fun of you, at that point, you're like, you know what? I'm an outcast. You start to go by yourself. You start to hang by yourself, or you try to find other individuals that, that might be in the same boat. I want to kind of peel back to your mother. I know that you mentioned about your mother coming over here, being an immigrant and working very hard to kind of pursue her dreams. Did you see any confidence in your mother that inspired you to be the woman you are today?
Yes, I mean, my mom, after I got here, because I didn't really grow up with my mom, because after she had me, she went, she came to the US trying to make a way for herself and then her children. So after I came to live with her, and I see that she was like on the floor. Like she would have her paycheck and it would be like, let's say $100 and something, and she would count it like 5 times thinking another 20 would come out of it. And we would like, we couldn't even find a penny in our house because every cent had the name to it. Like this got to be paid and that have to be paid. And I was like, wow, this is a confident Black woman, and I'm going to walk in her footsteps and I'm going to make her proud. And I sure did that.
Mm-hmm. Oh, well, she definitely will be proud of you. In the way you've brought yourself up, and with your schooling, did you feel like any of your schooling has helped you build that confidence?
Yes, schooling sure did. Like, I didn't go to college. I went to beauty school because, like I said, I was searching, thinking that it could be bought. And I graduated with my cosmetologist license. You can't tell me nothing. I'm like a doctor, cosmetologist, okay?
The name alone, the words alone right there, say it.
Yes. And, I specialize in hair care, skin care, and I specialize in bringing out the beauty from within all ladies, no matter what generation or what creed or what color. And that is something, that's a powerful thing right there. So I would say definitely going to beauty school helped me a lot where I am today.
It's obviously it's not funny, but it's just, if you think about it, the young one that was joked on for skin and the way they looked and their hair and it being dark, right? Being dark skinned, right? Being something beautiful, to be where you are right now is like, I could only imagine what those friends are thinking right now if they ever were to get in a conversation with you.
I say to my naysayers, I tell them thank you, because if it's because of them, they taught me how to push through and persevere. So I always, go back and I say thank you. And now they're like, oh, you're so beautiful, queen, this, that. I'm like, okay, thank you very much. Because now the tables has turned,
That's right. That's right. The tables would turn. So you hear that, listeners? The tables could turn for you. All you got to do is just keep on persevering and pushing through. Now, when did you realize you were that breakthrough? Like, when did you know that there was a breakthrough for you? When you were like, you know what? I'm coming to America. I'm looking for beauty. I want to do these things. Obviously, you went to school. When did you realize that the breakthrough had happened? Was it a job? Was it something that happened that kind of made you say, this is my purpose?
I got that aha moment when I graduated cosmetologist school, because that was the first time that I validated myself for me. And that's when I got that breakthrough, like when I was about 19, 20 years old. I was like, wow, all this time I was living in darkness. But once I went out and got knowledge and understand me for who I am, I realized, wow, there is light to this. And I had to validate myself first. And that's when my breakthrough first came.
Mm-hmm. Now, when you came to America, like, what were some of like the habits or things that you did and to help you navigate to work on like networking and connecting with like, some of the top beauty industry profile individuals, clients?
Okay, so after I graduated cosmetologist school, I went and I started working in my community in the Bronx, and I rented a booth and started bringing out the beauty within. And I realized that, there is so much more to this. It's a profession. A lot of people don't really take hairstyling or beautician as a real profession, but it is a profession. You have to take a state board test and you have to pass and all those things, right? So you should, and it costs a lot of money. So it's a real profession.
And, it's sometimes, especially coming from the Caribbean, a lot of the guests that we've had on the show, and I know you probably share the same thing, people from the Caribbean, immigrants from the Caribbean, they're typically saying you got to be a doctor, a lawyer, one of those things. But then when you say you want to be a hairstylist, and follow that in that path, how did your family members react to that?
My mom did not want me to be a hairstylist because, like I said, the beauty industry is not really that well respected because they don't really know what you put in. And when you present yourself to others, you got to let people know, hey, I'm a cosmetologist. I went to school for 12 months. I had to graduate and, so forth. It's a lot that goes into it. But for me, after I graduated, then you need to get your experience. And imagine, like, by that time, I worked for myself, and then I realized there is another level to it. I gave up everything. I had 2 kids by then, and I gave up everything that I was working for, building myself in the Bronx, to work on 5th Avenue into an upscale salon, working for $5.25 with 2 kids as a single parent.
Wow,
So
wow, wow.
I realized that, you have to do, there's certain things that you have to do. And if you want to get to the next level, you must do it.
Now, during that time, what made you, what pushed you to kind of stay driven, during that time? You said two kids and making $5 and some change. Like, what kept you motivated during that time?
Well, I knew within myself that college was not for me. College is not for everyone. And I was like, I'm more of a hands-on person, and I just wanted to do whatever it takes in order to get me to the next level. And in my journey, I always look forward to the next, and I always see the light at the end of the tunnel. So as I go further in my journey and in my career, I saw another light, and I realized, wow, there is more to this. And I just sat down and figure out what I had to do, and I did it.
Now, how did you juggle that, working full time and managing the kids? You said you have two kids, right?
Yes, two of them.
During that time, how did you manage that?
Well, with a little help from the government. Sometimes, you got to get a little welfare, and with help from your family and friends, like babysitting, and, with help from yourself, telling yourself, you got this and you're going to do this. All of those things played a big part in my success.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, I know how, I can only imagine, how hard it is, especially when you work so hard for something, but you're still not getting the dollar amount that you need or the respect that you want, in this industry. And obviously, as an artist, as an entrepreneur, it takes years and years and years to finally get to where you need to get to, but you kept on going. And it shows in your work and where you are right now. Could you tell me a little bit more about, like, how'd you win an Emmy? And that's a big thing right there. What was the process to getting that, and how'd you feel after you accomplished that?
I feel very, very good. It's a process, and it's still a process because, like you said, you have to keep going. There's always light at the end of every tunnel, right? So after I gave up working in the Bronx, and I said, you know what, I want something bigger and better. I went one day, I was watching television, and I saw this young lady, and I said to myself, I would love to do hair for television. But at the same time, I'm having this conversation in my head with a four-letter word called fear. And fear is telling me, who, you, tall, black, big feet girl from the islands? You ain't no celebrity hairstylist. Sit down. I was like, okay. I accepted fear, and I said, you know what? I'm going to still move on. Even if I can't do hair for television, I needed to do hair on another level. So that's when I went to Manhattan and I started working for $5.25, not knowing that I was positioning myself to get to the Emmys. I didn't know that, because when I started working at the salon in Manhattan, it was where all the stars used to go, and the celebrities. But I did not know, because I didn't reveal this to you as well. In Nevis, when I was growing up, we didn't have television, so I don't know who the stars or celebrities or anything. So most of the people who was working there was like, Petula, do you know who that is? I'm like, no. They're like, such and such. I'm like, okay, I'm just here trying to,
I'm trying to make it.
Yes, they made it already. So I'm like, I gotta do me. So after working there for about 2 years, I got fear got hold of me again. And I was like, I'm going back. So I kind of went back to the Bronx to work, because, you always go back to your comfort zone. And
yes, you go back your roots.
A friend of mine was like, girl, come on now, come back into Manhattan. So I came back to Manhattan, and finally she was like, I would like you to help me with one of my celebrity clients. At that time, I wanted to say no, because fear got me all twisted, but I was like, yes. So she told me who it was. And that was about 16 years ago. We didn't have Google or Instagram or nothing to be right away. So I had to wait until the next day when the person came on television to see who she was talking about. And when that person showed up, it was none other than the same person that fear was telling me 2 years ago that I am not good enough to do their hair. It was none other than Robin Roberts from Good Morning America, the #1 journalist in the world right now for news. And I'm like, what? I couldn't believe that. So that's how it's all, kind of I'm giving you a little snippet of my journey.
Yes.
That's how I started with my Emmys.
And that's how you got to Good Morning America.
That's how I got to Good Morning America.
Oh, wow. And now, obviously being in the industry, this is something I gotta ask this question because I know a lot of the listeners are probably gonna want to know this. How do you deal with the pressure, getting ready for something like that? Like obviously you're talking about the number one journalist in the world, right? How do you get this individual ready, prepped, looking good, and making sure they feel beautiful and confident for the big screen?
It's a team effort. She has a glam squad. I'm a part of her glam squad. And you have to build trust with your talent because she don't know how to get herself together. She knows how to deliver. And this is what we do. We get her together. We get her first impression together so she can show up every morning and say, "Good morning, America," without even thinking about, do I look good or what do I have to do? All she has to do is remember her lines and do what she has to do. So it's all about trust and it's all about the experience. And like I told you, working on Fifth Avenue for $5.25, that wasn't easy, but that's where it started. That's where I started getting her ready.
So you was in that prep work. You was getting yourself ready mentally. So obviously when you got there, you were ready to deliver.
Yes, because my motto or my goal is always when preparation meets opportunity, you have success. So you don't wait until you get an opportunity to prepare yourself. Prepare yourself, and once the opportunity arises, you just walk into it like, okay, I got this.
Well, that was a good gem right there to drop for them listeners. So if you heard that, guys, trust when I say listen to that. Now, as the individual that you are right now, I know that your profession caused you to travel, around the world. I know you've probably gone back home to the Caribbean, but could you tell us a little bit more about some of the countries you worked in and places you visited?
Well, I've visited a few countries, and thank God to my search and my validation that gave me this gift in order to travel. Working with Robin, and I travel with her, I always tell people I'm her platinum American Express card. She does not leave home without me, right? So
clap it up right there. Clap it, sister. You better preach.
Yeah, so I was able to visit just to name a few. I've been to the Buckingham Palace in England, right inside, looking outside saying, "Hey." And I've been to the White House a few times. I've been to the Great Wall of China. A quick story about the Great Wall of China. So growing up in the Bronx, we used to go to this buffet, all you can eat. And at that time, I used to tell my kids, listen, because you have to be I think on the 7 to eat for free. So my kids was on the 7 for years.
Get it.
So we used to go to the buffet, and I used to look at this picture on the wall, and it was a long, 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 long wall. And I'm like, wow. And then someone said, "Oh, that's the Great Wall of China." I said, well, that's a long wall. And this is the closest I always put myself into the picture when I'm there to be all right, I'll never get there. I'll never go there, but that's it. And one day I went into work, and we were going there even before I was working with Robin, and I was working with her at the time too. So one day we went into work and she was like, "Guess what? We're going to China, the Great Wall of China." I was like, "Say what?" So, it was amazing to know that I was only dreaming that, okay, I would be at the Great Wall of China, not knowing that I actually one day would be visiting the Great Wall of China. So that was one of the most amazing place that I've visited, because I had it in my mind. I never thought I would have gotten there. I've been to the motherland, Africa. I stood right outside standing right in front of Nelson Mandela's cell. I got the opportunity. And there is so many places. Sometimes I tend to forget because I don't really keep track, but because we travel so much. But because of that, traveling the world and having this great experience, that is what beauty is to me.
And, when you said the whole thing about you came to America looking for beauty, and I'm glad you just touched on that right now. What is beauty to you? These experiences, the people, the lives you have touched, the people you have inspired. I know there's a lot of young girls or even, Black women or minorities or immigrants. I know a lot of people come to America and they have a different mindset of what the American dream is or what American beauty is. But you've touched on something right now about what American beauty or just beauty in general is to you. So could you elaborate a little bit more?
Beauty is different within each and every one of us. We are customized. We are not duplicates. So you have to understand who you are. Once you understand who you are, once you get into yourself deep down inside and get a real good understanding of who you are, that is beauty to me. Beauty is not looking at Beyonce and thinking like, oh, I want to be like Beyonce. She herself had to sit down and consult within herself to understand what true beauty is to her. So once you understand yourself for who you are and whose you are, that is beauty to me.
Mm-hmm. It's not just skin, right? It's
No,
not just
it's not
hair.
just
It's not just your eyes. And I know sometimes people fall victim to that, especially even at a young age. At times, we might, and with the day and age that we're in right now with social media and things that are accessible to young youth, they might feel like that is the true definition of beauty, but it's so much more than that.
Yeah, and this is why I am creating a course. It's called Style Your Confidence.
Mm.
Understanding what confidence is to you, you style it and you create your own signature look. And that is beauty. Beauty is not like a one size fit all. And if we start teaching that to our kids from they have understanding, knowing that, okay, you are different because you were wonderfully made and you were chosen to be who you are, then we won't have a problem. Because when I was growing up, we didn't understand that. We just understood beauty as light skin, long hair. No matter how light you are, that you're beautiful. The long hair you have, you're beautiful. And that was like such a stigma. But our parents didn't even know any better. But now that we have the opportunity to break the curse and to bring knowledge to the young kids at an early age, I think we can wrap our hands around that, and we would definitely have more confident and more powerful kids growing up in this day and age.
Now, with your experience of today's society, I mean, one of the biggest things that we have to work on is trust, loyalty. How did you build that with Robin?
Well, I built trust and loyalty with Robin by simply being myself. When I met her, it was funny because the way I first met her was she came to the salon where I was working. Because after the young lady told me about her, she came there to the salon. And first, I was trying to be the young lady. So I asked the young lady, how do you do her hair? How to do this, how to do that? But she told me, be yourself. But I still wanted to be the young lady. So I tried to be like the young lady. And to me, her hair was horrible. And I was like, oh my goodness. Because guess what? I was not myself. So, but Robin didn't know any better because she was just like, oh, can I book you next week? And I was like, sure. I was counting the days. I was like, Lord, please hurry up. Let her come back in here because I want to show her who I am. And when she came back and I presented myself, she was like, thank you. And then we started building this trust. And so first she was my client at first, and then she hired me to be her personal stylist. So in order for you to build trust with someone, you have to know who you are and you must be yourself.
Mm. Yeah. Knowing yourself is obviously a journey, but I'm glad that you were able to find that through the various different experiences that you've had. When you don't know yourself, it's obviously very hard to build those things. Even within yourself, trust within yourself. And like you talked about fear, you talked about how you had to overcome it. And as an artist in general, you're always gonna, be faced with fear at some point in times. But the more confident you know yourself, it obviously does help you out within your journey. Now, as the individual that you are right now, traveling, working with these high profile clients, you use your voice and became a lot more vocal. Talk to me a little bit more about like this motivational speaking component that you have going on in your life. I know you said that you're developing a course. Could you talk to us a little bit more about how are you motivating individuals?
So I motivated individuals I created this movement called hashtag Beautiful. And beauty is lowercase and full is Full. Because I realized I would never be a part of the conventional World Beautiful tribe. So I created my own Beautiful tribe. And Beautiful stands for a customized look or a feeling that varies throughout all individuals. So therefore, each and every one of us are included. That's why the Full. And I started to let young ladies know that no matter what, no matter who you are, first you must trust yourself, you must believe in yourself, and you must understand it's a process. I'm not going to sit here and say, oh, it's easy. No, it wasn't. And because I'm a product of the product, I definitely love to speak and elaborate on why you should understand who you are. And I always tell them that, like I said, beauty is not hair, skin, and nails. Beauty is on the inside. Beauty is you. You are chosen. Mm-hmm. And so I developed, I speak to young people because people from a young age, because I know I was stained from the age of 6. So I know how young that these people need to hear my voice and to understand my journey, to know where I'm coming from and know that it's possible. Anything that you want to become or anything that you want to do, you can do it.
Mm-hmm. And it definitely comes through hard work and, like you said, preparation. Preparing yourself for those opportunities. So when you get those opportunities, you could actually make something of it. And you've done a phenomenal job in regards to preparing yourself from the Caribbean to making it to the US through your schooling, through your experiences. It seems that everything that you embark on, you definitely achieve. So it goes to show, the character inside of you. And that doesn't just come from just you, that comes from, like you mentioned, your mother as well, too, and your upbringing, coming from the Caribbean. This to kind of like conclude on our wonderful section today, I just want to kind of talk a little bit more. If you could give us any like last words that you would want to share with the listeners. And then lastly, also, is it kind of any big thing going on for you for 2022? I know the year is just starting off, but, as an entrepreneur, as a motivational speaker, all these things, like what's next for you? And like, what are some of the last words that you could give to like the listeners listening right now?
Definitely, for 2022, it's all about trusting you. Trust yourself. Get to know yourself. Introduce yourself to yourself. Have you ever sat down and really take a good look in the mirror and introduce yourself to you? Do that. Because you would realize that there's a lot of things you don't even know about self. There's a lot of things you don't even know about yourself. And when I say trust you for 2022, I'm talking about self-care, healthcare, wealth care. Like, we definitely need to really sit down and understand that we sometimes we have to hit the reset button, start all over again. We're not starting from the beginning, but we're just starting where we are. And I'm going to tell you this much. You're going to struggle. You're going to stumble. You're going to fail. You're going to do all these things, but all of that is a part of your success. All of that is a part of success. So once we accept all these things about ourselves and know every time you reach your destination, you will always see another light at the end of the tunnel, you definitely got this and you know exactly where you're going. So don't let no one tell you that you cannot do this or cannot do whatever you want to achieve, because I am a living proof that it's a lie. Okay? So you do your best and the rest will follow.
And I know your kids are definitely very blessed to have a mother like you.
Oh, yes, they are. And you know what? Only now did my son is 26. My daughter is 21, and only now they're like, Mommy, I love you and appreciate you. And I thank you. Because they used to, growing up, there were West Indians on the inside in my home, Americans on the outside. And they would always say, oh, we're in America. We're in America. But now they're like, Mommy, thank you for combining the cultures together, because now they can stand on their own. They understand where I was coming from with my, strict rules and regulations sometimes.
Well, hey, look, sometimes you got to put your foot down with those things, especially when you might at a young age, you might just run off. So it's good that you have you've implemented those things within your household. So again, Petula, I want to thank you so much for being a part of the show today and actually sharing your journey with the listeners and kind of hitting us with a lot of gems today that obviously could inspire someone and also make a major change in someone's life. So keep on doing what you're doing. We're looking forward to hearing more about your journey and also seeing the one and only Miss Roberts on TV on Good Morning America. So again, to the listeners, if you want to hear more stories like Petula, check us out on ZakaConnect.com or follow our feed Zaka wherever you listen to your podcast. Until the next time, guys, thank you again, Petula.
You're welcome.